Hi, welcome to this episode of Coach Danalytics. Today we're going to be talking about overcoming failure, what that looks like, what that feels like, and giving you a detailed plan on how to get yourself back in the game of life, how to get yourself back on track, and how to get yourself winning. Received an email from a young man who had started a business, who it was not going well for his first year. He said, I watch your podcast. I enjoyed so much. You talk a lot about winning and the successes you've had. Have you had any failures? And if you have, how did you overcome them? How did you keep going? And could you talk to the audience a little bit about what that looks like? And that led to this episode here. I would say, most small businesses in the first year do fail. 70% of realtors, never sell a home. I think last year I read a statistic the other day said something like 87% of realtors didn't sell a house last year. So failure's all around us. Defeat is all around us. And overcoming that failure is a key part to becoming successful. I don't care what any person tells you, what any entrepreneur tells you, what any coach tells you, what any life coach tells you, any sports coach tells you, you don't win all the time. That's impossible. If you won all the time, you'd be somewhere up around Jesus level, you know what I mean? So you're going to have failures in your life. You're going to have defeats. You're going to have setbacks. And overcoming those failures and how you react to those failures plays a huge role in the level of success that you can get to. I used to let failure really bother me. My self-esteem at one time in my life was centered around winning. Any defeat, any loss, any setback, I really, really struggled to overcome it, to get through it. I remember times in my young life coaching basketball, when we would lose, I wouldn't talk to anybody for like 48, 72 hours. It was my life was based around winning. My self-esteem was based around winning. And then what I learned to understand is that there's so much growth that comes from setbacks, from failure. You find out who you really are when the times get tough. You find out what the people around you are really made of when things get tough. You find out what young people are made of when things get tough. Everybody has a good attitude when things are going great. You look at the Eagles last night, the Super Bowl. I mean, there wasn't except for the one little conflict with A.J. Brown coming off the field. I'm like, you're winning by 40. You didn't get one pass. But other than A.J. Brown, it looks like, max positive. Everybody's positive when you're winning. But the true test of character and courage comes when you have these setbacks. So the first thing when we talk about overcoming failure or defeat, it's the danger of letting the defeat become habit. Okay, that's the most dangerous thing about failing or losing, is that it can become habit. It can become our thoughts. When I used to lose at anything, I felt like a loser. And if I let that feeling manifest, there would be no growth from it, right? So the most important thing is changing your mindset. We become our thoughts. I've started a lot of businesses before EXP. Some have been unbelievably successful. Some have failed. A buddy of mine got into this water selling business when we were in the military. I forget what it's called, like Aquavive or something. And we all ordered like hundreds of boxes of this healthy water from like the Amazon or whatever it was. And a lot of those people were convinced we were going to make millions selling this fresh bottled water. And we invested a lot of money. I think we sold one case and then ended up drinking the rest. But anyway, not everything you touch turns to gold. Especially business-wise, but, getting back up, overcoming whatever led to that failure is so important, and not letting it affect, like, you're not a loser. You just have to get back on the track of winning. And so many times we fail once and that's it. We're not going to try again. And I saw that a lot working with young people, students. If Algebra 1 was such a struggle, Algebra 2 was off the table, or maybe you struggle with, dribbling or shooting, or a kid would try to pitch once, struggle, walk for 5 batters, and he would never pitch again. That's not the mindset of a champion. That's not the mindset of a winner. You adjust, you work harder, you come back with a better plan, and you get back to some fundamental success. But we become our thoughts. So it's a mindset. You're not a loser if you fail, right? You're a loser if you quit. All right, that's the most important thing. You're not a loser if you fail. You're a loser if you quit and give up on yourself. Don't do that. How you handle, losses, defeat, failure, coaching wise, some things I learned through coaching and in the military was, you don't blame the people around you, right? That's the most important thing about leadership. If you're going to be a great leader, when things go wrong, Take that responsibility on yourself. Very, very often, if we lose a basketball game, and I'm so proud of my high school guys are playing unbelievable right now. Youngest team in Burlington County, one junior playing major minutes, no seniors playing at all. And this team continues to win and find ways. We come up with these crazy game plans. We triangled to this team the other night, held them to 7 points in the first half. Really proud of my guys. But when we do lose, a lot of times I'll shift the blame to myself. Hey, listen, I didn't make you tough enough. I didn't have the right practice plan this week. I take the pressure off my players and I take it with me. And I do the same thing in business a lot of times is I take their success on my shoulders. I care, I'm invested, I'm all in. So the worst thing you can do as a leader and as a person is to blame other people, right? So many times we want to make excuses about why we failed, right? And that's a terrible, terrible attitude. That's a terrible habit to get into. And you're not going to overcome anything. You're not going to have any major success. It's every time you hit a bump in the road, you're looking for excuses and to blame other people. That's 90% of people. Very few people want to take accountability for their own success and for their own failures, right? But the truth is you are the captain of your own ship. You choose to be successful or you choose to fail. One thing I talked about, I never blame my players. I never blame my employees. I never blame my realtors when things go bad. What I try to do is I try to let the failure consume me. Right. And what I mean by that is like when we lose, I don't want it ever to be my fault. So what I do is I work so intensely hard on being a real estate coach, on being a high school basketball coach, about being a leader. I take these things so serious. I don't ever want to be the reason that we weren't successful. So the game plans I come up with, the coaching sessions I come up with realtors, I put so much thought, time, energy, love, and thought into having the best plan possible to lead to success, because I don't want to be the reason somebody else failed. I love people so inherently much, and I'm so invested in their success, because you hit a stage of life where none of this crap matters. That's the truth. I'm already beyond more successful than anything I ever dreamed of. And there's nothing that money can buy me that will ever get me as high as seeing other people succeed. So to me, the greatest gift in life was time, money, and freedom. Enough passive income to where I didn't have to work again. I can do whatever I want. I can travel, be with my kids. That's what I want for everyone around me. So all this materialistic stuff, it doesn't really mean a lot to me. What I'm really after is how to change people's lives. And I don't want to fail them when it comes to that. We're going to talk a little bit later about some struggles I had last week and about some of the really hard parts of my life when it wasn't centered around others. So I'm not a happy person when my life is centered around me and what I want, right? That's not what motivates me. I'm an intrinsic reward kind of guy. Not to say that I don't like money. I had a great month in January. I sold almost $2 million worth of real estate in January. Got off to a great start this year. That's a massive amount of commission. But it doesn't drive me because it just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I like the security and I like being able to take care of my family, but I thought it would when I was younger, but it doesn't. I have a Rolex. I have a presidential Rolex that's worth more than the house I grew up in. I got to tell you the truth. I don't feel no different. I got that presidential. I thought, oh man, when you get a presidential Rolex, you've won. I got to tell you, I don't feel a lot different. I got that Rolex on. It's pretty similar to the old Apple Watch that I like. The time is the time. And the Apple Watch, that Rolex presidential doesn't check my emails, doesn't help me run my business. I don't feel any different. I've got my dream car. I got my beautiful dream car that I always wanted, man. And I thought that was going to change my life and make me feel so much more successful. It sits in the garage. It just sits there. It's got 3,000 miles on it. It's a convertible. I don't even drive it. I got my dream house and I do like going home to that, but don't feel a whole lot different. We're just as happy in that big, beautiful mansion of a house as we were in the tiny little hut we used to live in the city. So I don't know. These things, they don't really motivate me. What motivates me is changing lives. So I never want to be the reason someone fails. So never blame anybody else. Put your faith in being the very best leader, very best person you can be to be successful for the people around you, the employees of the business that you started. You want to see them be successful. You want to be able to pay them more. You want to be able to change their lives, right? So let that consume you. The winning consumes me as much as the fear of failing and losing, right? The winning to me, when I win, it's never as high as the lows of failure, right? So let the failures drive you. When you lose, you get better. And that's something I've learned over the years, is to embrace the losing, to be okay with it to an extent that you grow from it. When you're winning all the time, we've had great winning streaks. We had 17 straight winning seasons at Doane Academy for boys basketball. When you're winning all the time, those practices get a little less intense. When you lose, the kids are sharp. They want to learn, why did we lose? How do we get better? I've learned your teams grow from losses. Your teams get tougher mentally, physically. When you lose, there's just an inherent need to keep getting better. When you're winning all the time, there's not as much sharpness. So sometimes losing is the greatest gift. Other things I've learned is don't say things in anger. You don't blame other people. Don't say things in anger. If we lose, I don't ever address my team. If I'm angry at the way they played or, real estate deal goes bad, I don't address those people because you don't want to say anything that you don't mean. You don't want to say anything that's going to hurt people. Your goal is to how to get them back on track always, not to degrade, demean, and make people feel even worse when things aren't going our way. And that's something I learned. Sometimes in my life, where I've met some great failure, I got to tell you, when we first started this Colin thing, I'm so proud of our success. I wanted to be different than the average real estate leader. I wanted to put people first, not charge them anything, provide them with everything they could possibly need to be successful in real estate. And we did that, and we grew so fast. And I have to tell you, the hardest thing I struggle with is we grew too fast. I mean, we didn't have processes in place to scale as fast as we scaled. We looked up, me and my partner, Michelangelo and Mattia, we looked up and we were like, we've got more realtors than we can handle. We've got more people than we could possibly train. What do we do? How do we make it better? And that's something I appreciate about him, is that we're always looking how to make this thing better. We don't get stagnant. We don't get complacent. Like, how do we take the next step? All right, we're here. How do we get to there? Okay, we're doing this great. How do we do it better than anybody's ever done it? So we had to put some scalable processes in place where we could coach realtors across the country and have things at their fingertips. We looked at things like, why aren't they using these tools? Well, maybe the tools aren't easy enough, so let's make the tools easier. But that was very difficult because, I got out, I wanted to change lives, and we got out to such a great start. But then I looked up and I realized we weren't delivering on the message. You can't change people's lives if you don't have duplicatable processes. You can't change people's lives. What happens when you grow so fast you can't have one-on-ones with people anymore? That was hard for me because I'm a relationship person. People matter to me. Friendships matter to me so much, man. I'll do anything for the people that I love. I mean, anything. I spend time in prayer for the people I love. I spend time in great thought. I probably spend more time a week thinking about other people's growth in business than I do my own. And I love that about my life. But you can't change people's lives. So I had to learn how to scale these processes because I couldn't meet one-on-one anymore. And we did a good job of that. We're going to continue to do a great job of that with our new Scorpion training that we're launching this week that I'm really excited about. We're going to talk more about the end. And then sometimes not working backwards from a vision. You ever, when you have high energy like me, and if you're drawn to this podcast, I'm guessing you probably do, sometimes you work backwards, you don't have the end vision and goal. So that was kind of when I started. I just wanted to grow a massive real estate team, change lives. And I didn't have this back vision of how we're going to grow it and scale it to hundreds of thousands across the country, make sure everyone's to be successful. I didn't have that vision. I was kind of figuring it out as I went. And I tend to do that sometimes in life. I mean, I'm dumb to the point where I think I can do anything. And I'll jump on any task or anything that looks like a challenge. And I believe that my energy, my positivity, and my ability to lead and figure things out on the fly can make things better. And that's been true for most things. But there are times once in a while where I've bitten off more I can chew. I had to say, hey, listen, I should have had a better vision that I was working backwards from. So when you take on a major task, make sure you know where you're going. Because sometimes you can get lost along the way if you don't know where you're going. One thing I have to do is protect my time. So what I've learned throughout the years is I'll fail when I don't have enough energy to put into something. If I spread myself too thin and I don't truly have the time to give all I got to something, then I got to step away from it. Because everything I do that I put my name on it deserves my absolute devotion. Even down to, coaching this travel team for my son. I didn't plan on coaching travel. I volunteered to help out. The one guy ended up not coming back. And then I was kind of like, well, we need you to do it. And I was like, man, this is going to take up a lot of my time. But I was like, if I'm going to do it, we're going to practice twice a week. We'll do it out of Doane. And I was like, if I'm going to do it, I got to invest in it. I invest as much time in my son's travel team as I do almost in the high school team, which is crazy. But if I can't put time and energy into it, I got to walk away from it. So anything you do deserves your absolute time. So stay away from those impulse decisions, right? Don't jump into things unless you truly understand it, unless you can truly give it the time and the energy it needs, or you're almost setting yourself up to fail. You know, don't invest in bad things. Don't invest your time and energy in things that aren't helping you grow and helping you get forward. You get to a certain amount of success, you don't have time to waste on things that aren't adding value to your life or adding value to others. I don't have the luxury where I am in life. I don't have the luxury to have hobbies that aren't going to help me get better, right? My whole life has to be based around helping others, my health, you know, helping other people succeed in my businesses. I don't have time to be a movie critic or to have great long hobbies. You know, I used to like to fish. There's no way I could take 3 or 4 days a week and fish for 2 hours. I don't have that time. There's too many people that are dependent upon me to be there for them every day. So also, delayed gratification is always good. Putting plans in place for your business. How do I get better down the road? In terms of real estate, you know, people talk to me all the time and they're like, you know, well, you know, with the numbers against me of how many real estate agents fail, you know, I feel like, you know, I can't succeed. Well, let me tell you this. Let me be real brutally honest. There's only 2 reasons that real estate agents fail, or or most salesmen fail. But with realtors specifically, because a lot of my audience is real estate professionals, there's 2 reasons agents fail. Okay. The first reason is this. No one is training them, developing them, guiding them, or laying out any kind of a plan to help them be successful. Okay, that's probably 20% of agents. If you're in a brokerage that offers you absolutely nothing, then that's on them, right? It's on you a little bit for staying, but you know, if they con you into joining, saying they're going to do this, do that, and they don't deliver what they promised, well, that's 20% of agents. And that's the first reason agents fail, is they're just not getting supported. They're not getting trained. They're not learning. Now, the other reason, this is about 80% of agents, the other reason agents fail is they know what they should be doing and they lack the motivation and the discipline to go out and do it each day. And I think that's the majority of agents. We're going to get to that here later on. But most agents know what they should be doing, right? It's really as simple as getting in front of 50 people a day. Get in front of 50 people a day, 200 a week, you know, 800 a month. It's impossible not to sell anything if you're getting in front of that many people. And if you know that's all you have to do to be successful, you know, why wouldn't you doing it? Well, lazy. People are inherently lazy. Again, it's always somebody else's fault. It's the brokerage's fault. It's the broker's fault. It's the trainer's fault. No, it's your fault, right? And that's truth. Personal responsibility for your life and your success. Any salesman, the trick is getting in front of 50 people a day. Talk to 50 people a day, whatever you're selling, you'll be one of the top salesmen in your entire company, whether it's cars, life insurance, real estate, I don't care what it is, right? Get in front of 50 people a day. If the product has any kind of value, right, any kind of need. I mean, I used to sell Electrolux vacuums door to door and crushed it. And vacuums are a hard sell because only 1 out of every 50 people you talk to are going to be in the need for a vacuum, right? But you can do anything. But that's the 2 reasons why people fail. In today's day and age, with Google and podcasts and books on sales, you almost have to try to fail in sales. Like, you put any effort into it at all, you can find ways to be successful. But the truth is most people fail because they choose to fail. And that's the absolute truth. It's personal accountability. You know, not to saying you can't overcome it. Life does kick you in the face once in a while. You know, you got an email from a guy, well, what was your, Coach Dan, what was your toughest struggle? What was your greatest setback? When were you at your absolute lowest point? And it's something that, you know, I don't like to talk about publicly. I don't like going into negativity, right? Because I'm such a max positive person. But there was a very difficult stretch in my life. And I kind of lost who I was a little bit. So speaking from the heart here, I know what that feels like. I had an unbelievable stretch of loss. I was getting divorced, which was difficult. I was getting out of the military. It was a big cause of strife. And I remember saying, "Oh, you're going to leave a $60,000 a year job." And I was like, "I just don't want to do it anymore." And I remember that was such a difficult thing, with leaving that $60,000 a year job in the military, and you know, almost made that last month in real estate. So praise God for that. But I remember, like, the idea of leaving that job was a major stressing point, but I didn't want to do it anymore. I was done with the military life. So I was going through divorce, going through a major career change. I was gambling on myself. I was getting out of the military. I believed I could be Coach Dan every day. I believed I could be a college professor, a speaker, a coach. run my own businesses, and I was going to gamble on myself come heck or high water. So I was going through this major life changes, career changes, personal changes, and then I suffered a horrific stretch of losses. My Uncle Mike was just a legend in my life. Loved me so much. So much I learned about being a man and being a leader and how you treat women and how you provide for your family came from this guy. He was just a legendary guy. He would drive down from Virginia and pick me up and take me to the movies. And he was always dressed in a suit. And he was larger than life, man. People loved him. Everywhere he went, people just flocked to him. I remember feeling like it was almost like being with Elvis. Like he had the long black hair. He's an Italian guy. I just love this guy, man. He would call me every week. I was in the military. And I remember before I left for Afghanistan, for a year, I remember I went to see him, and I remember him saying, "I couldn't love you more if you were my own son." What a great thing to say to somebody who's a little scared, just a kid. That guy was just a huge part of my life. He passed away suddenly. Found out he had fatty liver, and then ended up being dead within almost a month of that diagnosis, which was just devastating to me because he was my hero, man. Love that guy to death. Will always love him, and a lot of who I am came from him. And next up, my mother passed away. Very, very difficult thing. She had been sick for a while with dementia and things like that, but she passed away as well. Very, very difficult thing. And then my brother, only 3 years older than me, passed away in the same stretch of time, all within like a 30-day stretch there. I lost three of the most important people in my life in the midst of all these crazy changes. And man, that was hard. That was really hard. And I remember I really fell into a little bit of a spiral. And while I wasn't openly negative, I wasn't the outgoing positive person that I was. I was really struggling on the inside. I didn't have anybody to talk to at the time. I was still in that soldier mindset. You're strong always, strength always, never show weakness. And I got really far away from who I was. I was angry at God. I really was. I was angry at God. I was like, how could you have forsaken me? Like all I do for people, I live this moral life of good decisions and strong ethical decisions. And, I live honorably. And I did. I lived my whole life trying to live my life consistent with what the Bible and what I thought God's message to life was. And I felt like Job a little bit, like everyone I loved was dying. I was getting divorced. That wasn't supposed to happen to me. I was getting out of the military. And, I just started coaching. I was a gym teacher. I was coaching some classes at night. Financially was struggling a little bit. And I remember I was like, how could this be happening to me? And I got really angry at God and even questioned my own faith for a while. And I got so far away from who I was. I didn't even recognize myself. I was, dating a lot of people. I was dating a lot of people, dating a lot of women, man. And that wasn't consistent with who I was. I've always been a guy, you date one person at a time, but I was, at one time dating 8, 9, 10 people at once. Couldn't even keep track of my own lies. Not really telling, not committing to any of them, but just not being forthfront and honest with people, just, going out with this, going out with that one, and just living a fast life that was never me, staying out all hours of the night. And I just looked up one day and I was like, what are you doing, dude? You are lost, brother. You're not going to the gym. You got to get back on track. So for the first time in my life ever, this strong, ethical man who had lived his life on good decisions and decency and honesty and integrity and hard work, I looked in the mirror and I didn't like who I was. I didn't like who I was anymore. And I said, man, this is kind of rock bottom. And I don't make light of people with drug addictions or alcohol addictions, but I remember in that moment, that's how I felt. Like I was at rock bottom. And sometimes when I get messages from people that are struggling with addiction and struggling with bad choices, it starts with forgiving yourself and saying, man, I got to make a routine mindset change. And forgiveness is a difficult thing. For me, I took so much pride in who I was that self-forgiveness took a little bit. And sometimes we beat ourselves up. I was thinking about my son the other day. My dad was such an amazing figure in my life. He loved chip beef. That was his favorite dinner. And I used to complain inherently about the chip beef. Hated it to the point my mom stopped making it. And I remember whenever I saw chip beef in a diner or whatever, I feel so guilty because it was my dad's favorite meal. And I was such a little punk kid complaining so much. He never got to have his favorite meal because he was, well, if the kids don't like it, don't make it. But the other day I'm sitting at dinner and I always give my son, Daniel Jr., I always give him my garlic bread because he likes the garlic bread. And I remember thinking the other night, I'm probably not going to have garlic bread ever for the rest of my life because whenever we get it, I always give mine to him because he just devours it. But it made me think of the chip beef and the guilt that I felt. Like that's part of being a father. My father probably never thought twice about the chip beef. Like I don't think twice about the garlic bread. You know, you do that for the kids you love. But for me, I had to forgive myself. And I said, I don't like who I am. I don't like the decisions I'm making. Where do I go from here? And I just had to get back in my routine. I had to get back with being consistent with who Coach Dan is. I had to get back in church. I had to get back to praying every day. I had to get back to living a life that was consistent with the person that I want to be, the person I was raised to be. So I got back in that mindset. I got back into my routines. I'm going to be honest and decent and care about other people. And I'm not going to make it about myself. I'm living selfish. I said, from this day forward, I'm going to get back to giving everything I got to the players, to the kids, to anybody in my life. I'm going to be a light in people's life. I'm not going to use people. I'm not going to do anything that's not going to be great in someone's life. And I got back to people. And from that day on, I mean, you're talking probably 15 years. Life has been wonderful for me. I've not hit that rock bottom ever again. But no one is perfect. Even the most positive, energetic person that you see, in these podcasts, we all have struggles, but the trick is to get out of it as soon as you can. Stop making excuses. Build a plan around who you really are at your core. And that for me was the trick to getting out of that rut that I was in. Who am I really at the core? What am I about? Decency, hard work, honesty, relationships, people, right? Being the best version of myself, being healthy, positive mental attitude, choose my attitude. And I had to make peace with God. And I had to make peace with, through that great loss came a better version of myself. And honestly, what I see now, God was preparing me for great things. I was angry at God, but God used those struggles to prepare me to be the best version of myself possible. Here I am angry at God about one relationship ending when he had the greatest relationship ever with my second wife, who is the most amazing person, loves me, believes in me, encourages me, helps me be who I am every day, loves the fact that I love people. You could come to our house at midnight if you got problems. I'll open that door. She doesn't care. So prepare me to be the best coach that I could be. I wouldn't be running this EXP business right now, the Colony. I wouldn't be running this had I not had those struggles. I wouldn't have had probably the toughness or the authenticity, right? Those great struggles shaped me into being even better than I ever dreamed of. So sometimes God puts us through these challenges, or the universe, whatever you believe is up to you. But sometimes we're preparing for our greatest chapter. And without the loss and without the failure and without the doubt, you don't become tough enough, good enough to become the best version of yourself possible. And everything that I went through, God was preparing me to be the biggest blessing I could in people's lives and was preparing me for my greatest blessings. I never imagined I'd be here, right? That's why, I just feel like the luckiest guy ever. I never dreamed of being at this level of success, running one of the most successful real estate teams the world's ever seen, having all these different people depend on me, people paying me for my real estate coaching and advice, public speaking around the country. I never dreamed of any of this, right? I'm the luckiest guy ever, but a lot of that came from the failures. I can stand in front of people confidently and tell them, this is how you win, because I've also lost and come through the other side of it. So remember that, man. When you're at your darkest moment, maybe it's preparing you for your greatest light, right? Maybe it's preparing you to do something that you never dreamed. I never dreamed of any of this. Never dreamed of any of this, man. I mean, honestly, there was times in my life where I'd be happy just paying the bills. So get through these struggles. Make a plan around the core of who you really are. And I think that's a big ticket to a lot of my happiness, is that I live a life consistent with who I really want to be. But I took the time to put that in writing. This is what I really am about. And you build your life theme around that. Build a plan around that theme. Practice excellence each and every day, right? Come up with a creed, a list of the things that you really want to emulate every day. I have a list of 4 or 5 things where I'm like, every day, this is what people can expect out of me, right? High energy, praise. I'm going to be their biggest cheerleader. I'm going to be on time to everything. I'm never late to anything, right? Consistency. People know what they're going to get out of me each day. And I think that helps my level of success. That helps me be better. And if I ever fall back on track, I always go back to the theme of who I am, right? This is Coach Dan doesn't speak poorly to people. People can say a lot of things when you're successful, and they do, right? But there's things people can't ever say about me now. They can't say I'm not a gentleman. They can't say I'm not high energy. They can't say I don't give my whole heart to people, right? So that's what I base my life around when I hit my hardest moments. This past week was very difficult. I'll give you another example, right? I had the flu so bad, very, very tough, man. And I don't get sick much, but this flu hit me right in the lungs. I was down for like 3 days. In those 3 days, we had some people, leave, and we don't have people leave. Not like most real estate brokerage where the turnover is constant. People don't leave our group because we're providing them with everything they possibly could. But when those people left, I had to take a really hard look at what we were doing and could we do it even better? And in my heart, instead of being angry, instead of being like, oh, well, we give them everything they could possibly want. It's at a click of a button. All they have to do is go to our website and they get all these different trainings. They just click on the button. They get 100 trainings a day, anything they could possibly need, a business plan. Maybe for some people, that's too much because we just said earlier, 80% of realtors fail, right? Because they know what to do, but they won't do it. So if I know that, why do I think that these scalable processes that I put in place on our website and our training things, why do I think people are going to actually go to them, right? Knowing that most people are inherently not self-motivated enough to train and develop themselves. So we came up this week with our Scorpion training based after the 421st Scorpion Society that we were in, unit I was in the military, most successful unit for cops in the military. So we're going to have our Scorpion training we designed this week while I was laying in bed sick, thinking about how to help other people get better. So we're not going to accept this failure. We lost a couple people on our team. We're not going to accept this. So our new training is coming at you. I'm not going to let you fail. I don't care if you're not even self-motivated enough to go to the hundreds of trainings that we provide for you a week. I'm coming to you now, right? I'm making it impossible for you, right? So now we're going to shoot these live coaching sessions every night for 3 to 6 minutes, and we're going to put them in your emails, in your text messages. You will never go a month without seeing my face again or hearing my voice again. If I gotta get to you, I'm coming to you, baby. I'm waking you out of bed. I'm gonna set them out at 6 a.m. every morning. No more am I gonna ever think that it's on you to get up, put some kind of effort into your own business, click a button and watch any of the thousands of trainings that we provide over every topic with a checklist and a program to help you keep on track of your time and your business plan. I'm not putting that on people, knowing that 80% of people won't do it. Now I'm coming to you every day. I'm making it impossible for you not to sell real estate. I'm coming right into your text. I'm coming right into your email. I'm going to get you out of bed. I'm going to tell you exactly what you should be doing every single day to get in front of those 50 people to make sure that you succeed, because it's about supreme ownership, right? So while laying in bed with the flu, feeling like I was dying this week, I was like, how do I overcome this failure? And I decided to overcome the failure by putting it on myself to help people be better, not to put it back on them, right? Because for some people, clicking a button might be too much, to lead them to their own success. If I got to click the button for them and be there when they wake up, when they open a text, there's my face. Wake up. Come on. You got to be better. Do these 4 things today. You have to do these 4 things, right? If that's what it takes to lead people to success, that's what I'm going to do, because they joined EXP with me so I could change their life. And if you believe, and I believe I am the best real estate coach in the world, I believe I can help any salesperson have the greatest year of sales in their life. I've seen me do it, right? And if I know that, why would I leave it up to chance? Even if I provide them with anything they could possibly need, why would I give them the opportunity not to click a button and watch it, right? Because it has to be scalable in the country. I can't do one-on-ones. I mean, I will do a one-on-one, but I can't meet one-on-one with every single realtor every single day. So I thought the process we had, it's better than what anybody was offering, but now we've made it even better. And that's what leadership looks like, right? You don't hate people. You don't turn on people. We have realtors join us. These brokerages just tear them apart. This person's a scumbag. Every person that leaves a brokerage, we get these long emails. What a terrible salesman are. I love you no matter what. I don't care what polo you wear. We've had people that leave us come back and ask my advice, ask for training, ask for help. And I'm like, why did you leave if you're asking me for all this advice for? But our arms are always open. So every opportunity to get better, take it. And that's my best advice to you about overcoming failure, about overcoming defeat, is to look at ways, how can you be better? Don't blame other people. Get a consistent plan in place. Get back to your core. Get back to your daily habits. Get back to who you are on the inside and keep working through those successes and failures and embrace them, guys and gals, because without those failures, again, you don't get to become the best version of yourself. And a lot of times those failures are setting you up for the greatest life of abundance, the greatest life of success that you ever dreamed for. So in a way, be thankful for the failures. Be thankful for the defeats, right? Because they will make you an even better winner, an even better leader, right? I thank you for listening today. Coach Danalytics, preparing you for the game of life. I welcome you to visit my YouTube page at Dan Williamson 3797, The Colony, exp.com. Send me emails, DanielWilliamson605 at yahoo.com. If you send me questions, problems in your life, I'll try to address them on the podcast. A lot of times I'll write you something back. I'm getting upwards of 50 to 100 emails a day. Here to help anybody's life get better any way that I can. For me, that's what it's about. That's what it'll always be about. I thank you so much for listening. I'm the most blessed guy in the world to have this platform, and I hope I'm helping your life in some way. Take care. We'll see you next time.